Okay, so I've been traveling this planet for outside of the United States for 20 plus years. I've been to around 30 countries, and so in this video, I thought what I would do is share my top 10 most memorable moments while traveling. I think you will enjoy. Okay, so number 10. So I got married, and yes, I was married once. Anyways, got married. We went on a honeymoon. We went to Puerto Vallarta, and stayed at a nice resort. But one day we decided to rent a car. So I rented a Volkswagen convertible with no top down, and we thought we could go to Guadalajara. And all we needed to do is cross over the Sierra Madre Mountains. So I thought, yeah, I was young. I thought, no problem. It'd be 4 hours, not a problem. So, and I thought I'll fill the tank up, and there'll be a gas station along the way. Okay. So I started driving. We started driving, going up the Sierra Madre Mountains. We're about 2 hours into the drive. And I noticed that my gas tank was getting a little low, and so I said, okay, well, I'm sure we'll see signs, a gas station or a petrol station. We did see petrol, but we kept driving and driving and driving. No petrol station, none whatsoever. So, I was down to probably a quarter tank, and I was almost all the way to the top of the Sierra Madre Mountains, and I ended up pulling over and asking, where is this gas station? Where is this petrol station? And in Spanish, they go, oh, senor, over there, over there. And it turns out to be a house or a hut. And so I go into the driveway. This guy comes out with a can, not with, a gas can. And I go, where's the gas? No, senor, come with me, senor. I go into it's a garage, so go in, and there's a big barrel, probably about 4 feet high. He takes the lid off. There's the gasoline. Stuff was floating on top. Anyways, he siphoned it, poured it into the gas, siphoned it with the hose into the gas can. And we ended up putting it into the Volkswagen. But we did that three different times, and I thought that was really funny. That was a very unusual, not your typical gas station, but I got a full tank. We ended up not going farther because I didn't like the conditions of the gas station. So that's number 10. I hope you enjoyed that. Okay, number 9. So this is going back to childhood. I used to go on, I'm from California, and we used to go to Lake Shasta every year. I used to go with my neighbor. His name was Norman, and the Kekis. They would always invite me to go camping with them, and it was usually 1 or 2 weeks. So this year we went, and we found a camp spot. And during the day, what we would do is we would take the boat out and go somewhere in a cove at Lake Shasta in the lake, and then water ski all day, eat, drink, all day long. And then we would come back. When we come back to the campsite, and this one time that we came back, we had a huge ice chest full of Shasta drinks. Yes, they still have Shasta drinks. And we have an assortment of flavors: orange, cola, root beer, blue, whatever it was. It was, yeah. So anyways, this ice chest was dumped over, and all of the drinks, so there was assortment. What happened was a bear came down, opened up the ice chest, okay, and what he did was he poked 2 holes. And he only drank orange drinks. That's all he would drink. He left alone all the other flavors. And then also he took a big thing of cookies and went up to the railroad tracks, ate the entire bucket of cookies. Um, so, anyways, there was probably about 10 or 12 orange drinks where there was 2 holes in it. So this bear ate and drank really well while we were gone. Okay, so number 8. Probably, I think it was around, I'm going to be dating myself, 2001, summer of 2001. Me and my buddy, Corby, I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, decided to go to Europe for 3.5 weeks. It was our first Europe trip. So we ended up going to about 8 different cities. So this story is about Cinque Terre, Italy. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but it's really beautiful, right along the coast. It's awesome. So each city that we actually visited, we would walk the city all day long during the day. And before I got to Cinque Terre, we walked Paris all day long. I think we were there for like 3 days. And we walked every day. And I ended up getting my foot ended up swelling up. And it looked like there was a cut. And by the time I got to Cinque Terre, my foot was so swollen I could not even walk. So there's my buddy Corby and his friend, they ended up walking. There's a famous trail in Cinque Terre, and they ended up doing that hike, and I wasn't able to do it because I just couldn't walk. And so what I did was, the hotel that we were staying at, I called and, hey, can I see a doctor? So they had a town doctor. His name was Dr. Vital, and they called him, and he came right to the hotel. He rode his bike over. I was in the lobby waiting for him. He looks at it and just goes, "It's a blood infection." So I figured that. So I guess the Tevas that I was wearing, dating myself, put a cut in my foot, and then from walking every day, it just got infected. So I ended up said, I knew I was going to go out that night, but I didn't even say, hey, can I drink? But I ended up getting iodine. I ended up getting some penicillin or antibiotics. I can't remember which one. And I took it. And you're not really supposed to drink on antibiotics or penicillin. And I knew this, but I'm on vacation. Who cares, right? At least I didn't care. So that night we went out, and we went to this wine bar at the top of this hill overlooking the ocean. And I was ordering a big carafe of wine, right? And I was at the bar, and as I was turning around, Dr. Vital was walking inside the bar, and looked right at me, and I go, ah. He goes, Senor, no worries. It will work anyways. Okay, great. Okay, great. Anyways, I ended up, drinking with Dr. Vital all night long. Actually extended him an invitation to my house in California because he said he wanted to move there. Gave him my phone number. He never called. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that story. Okay. Number 7. This is the night Ashley Simpson stormed out of a bar because of me. It's not as bad as you think. But here's the story. So I had just moved to Prague in 2005. I think this was the winter. It was in 2006, January, February. And what had happened is I went to this cocktail bar called Bombay Cocktail Bar. I believe they call it Bombay now, just because they changed the name of the city. And this was a really hot spot for expats and and people that are traveling. They go in there. You can meet all kinds of people from all over the world. So I was in there, and I saw a bunch of girls in there, and I started talking to this one girl. She was a brunette, and we had a good banter. She was, I think she was from England. She had the English accent, and actually, we hit it off quite well. And somewhere during that conversation, she goes, "I'm Ashley Simpson," and I go, What do you mean you're Ashley Simpson? Yeah, I'm Ashley Simpson. I go, no, you're not. First of all, Ashley Simpson is blonde, and Ashley Simpson is an American. She doesn't have an English accent. Because nobody, I am Ashley Simpson. I go, shut up. I just blew her off. You know, she was just lying to me. I go, you know what? I'm done with you. Anyways, she stormed out of the bar. And I go up to her friends. I go, what's wrong with her? Why is she lying to me? Why is she saying that she's Ashley Simpson? And they look at her and they go, because she is Ashley Simpson. I go, why does she have an English accent? Because she's practicing her English accent. And I go, okay. Well, there you go. Ashley Simpson stormed out of the bar because of me. So it's a pretty good story, I think. Anyways, at the time, I felt like a fool. Okay, number 6 is my train ride to Barcelona. So during my first trip to Europe, my friend Corby talked me into going from Milan. We had all these cities all mapped out and planned, but when we were in Milan, he wanted to go, let's go to Rome. I go, no, I don't want to go to Rome. We're supposed to go to Ibiza, before that, Barcelona. No, we'll just do it overnight. I go, okay, all right, let's go. So we went to Rome. I think we did a pub crawl. We checked out the Roman ruins, and then we left in the morning to get a train ride to Milan to catch our sleeper train that was going to Barcelona. So we get to Milan, and we go to get our train, and it turns out he didn't reserve a sleeper train. He just reserved the train, period. He didn't know that he needed a reserve. We got the Euro pass, but he didn't know he had to reserve a sleeper train. So we're like, so we ended up having to get another train, and we had no idea how to get down to Barcelona. But we ended up meeting this couple. It was an American couple. Well, the husband was from the United States. She was from Mexico. So she spoke really good Spanish. We ended up meeting up with a Spanish captain, and he needed to go to Barcelona. Sorry, it's my dog. He's getting impatient. He needed to go to Barcelona. He's all, follow me, I'll get you there. So we ended up following him. No bed, no sleeper train. We all had to sit up like this for 36 hours with 4 different trains, right? And we ended up getting down to Barcelona, like I said, 36 hours later. And we needed to book into our hotel that night in Ibiza. And luckily we get there. The train actually goes right into the airport. Lucky for us. And we were actually going to take a ferry over there, but we ended up, forget that. Let's just take a plane. Anyways, we get the last 2 spots on this little hopper plane going over to Ibiza from Barcelona, which is really only a 20 or 30 minute flight. So we were so lucky, and we got there and it was leaving an hour later. So very lucky. We get into Ibiza, we check in around 10:30, 11 o'clock. Perfect. So that's number 6. I hope you enjoyed. Okay, number 5. So number 5 was a boys' trip to Cabo San Lucas. So I have a bunch of friends in California that, probably like 17, 20 of us used to hang out every weekend. And someone was getting married, and we ended up going down to Cabo. I think it was someone's bachelor party. So we go there and we party for 4 or 5 days straight. Last day, a friend named Teddy, we lost him. He ended up going to this private party on the beach with all the locals. So, and he goes there. We didn't see him. So anyways, the next day, we're supposed to get on this flight around 11 o'clock to go home. And so we we go to the airport. We get into the airplane. We get our seats, and everyone's like, "Where's Teddy? Where's Teddy?" I don't know. We went to that party last night. It was like a beach party with the locals, and I don't know where he is. I look out the window because I had the window seat, and there's a man down there pointing at this other. He's talking to this. I think he was a pilot. He was talking. He was pointing at his airplane, and it ended up being Teddy. He was trying to talk that pilot into giving him because he thought he missed the plane. He thought he missed the plane, and he needed to be at work on Monday morning. And he was trying to talk that pilot into taking him back to Sacramento, California, because it's like 4 hours. And someone ended up going down there and goes, no, Teddy, we're here. Where's our plane? So he goes, oh, okay. So he comes in. The guy could barely talk, and if Teddy's the type of guy that he wants to be funny. He is funny. He's always throwing jokes. So he comes in. I mean, I don't know if he slept that night. But he comes in, walks down the aisle, and he's telling jokes. Thinking he's funny. He's sitting down, still telling jokes. He finally fell asleep. But that's my story, Cabo San Lucas with the boys. Okay, number 4. So this is the time that I visited Auschwitz with my buddy Jeff Scott. So I had been to Warsaw, I think one other time or 2 other times before that. And Jeff Scott wanted to go with me. I was still living in Sacramento. So we ended up going to Warsaw. We stayed there a couple days, and then we went down to Krakow. Okay, and we found out that Auschwitz is only an hour away by bus. So we go to the train station. There was no buses available. I guess the last one had left. So we ended up getting a taxi, going to Auschwitz in the taxi. And it turns out the taxi driver would give us a tour and walk us around. So we did that. So we get there, and so we go, it's just like the movies where you work for freedom. So we saw that, walked underneath of it. The most memorable part of Auschwitz was the building. There's different buildings and they're named different things, but there was one building where they just torture people basically. So you'd walk in, and I remember walking down this hallway, and there was pictures of all the old inmates, and they all had a number like on the side of their neck or whatever. And I just remember walking down this hallway, and I just remember every image of an inmate would just flash. It was unbelievable. And into that building there was a torture chamber. So we went downstairs, and there was this brick, like it was kind of like a chimney, but it was only like 4 feet high. And evidently what they would do, they would torture these, the Jews or the inmates. This inmate had to step inside of this chimney, and it was so narrow, you couldn't relax because you couldn't sit down in there at all. So you had to stand. So they would stand for days in this, chimney that's only up to like through their belly button, and they weren't allowed to get out of there or anything. Sorry, it's my buddy. Say hello. So, anyways, that's very vivid in my head. Also, when we walked out, there was this glass case, this building with a glass case, and if you remember, Germans would take everything from the Jewish people: suitcases, sunglasses. They would extract gold teeth from their mouth, and they would make money, even human hair, right? And they would utilize it and make a product out of it. And that was very vivid. I also went into the gas chamber, and they were told that they were going to take a shower as they were coming off the train. and they had sprinkler heads on top. They ended up being, you know, they had these white tablets, cyanide. I guess it was cyanide, and they would they would go ahead and put the cyanide, and they would think they're going to take a shower, and they actually gassed them, and hundreds would die at a time in this one chamber. So that's my memory of Auschwitz. So number 3. So this is not just one moment, it's like the whole trip. So after college, my dream was to go to Australia, to live in Australia. I think I was there for 60 days. So I ended up staying with the family. And I was a national track runner, and so I was way out of shape, but I moved in with this family, and the mother turned out to be a master's runner for track and field, and she would go to these track meets every week. And across the street from her house was a track, and so the mother is like, "Oh, you ran track and field?" I go, "Yeah, I ran the 800 and the 400." "Oh, well, why don't you run some of these meets?" And so I actually did. I started training. I actually was training for the 200, and I told her, I go, "Listen, it's not my event, but if I break 24 seconds for the 200, I'll run until I break the 24-second barrier." So second meet in, I ran a 23.9 with only like 3 weeks training. I actually won a field event with a shot put. Not a good throw, but I actually won. So that was memorable. But not just that. I ended up staying at a youth hostel called the Sly Fox Inn. Had 5 levels. People from all over the world would go there. I had an American roommate. I had a Canadian roommate. I had an Australian. I had a Danish. I had Swedish. I had English. You name it. Everybody from all over the world, and that was a really, really great experience for me, because I got to talk to people, from people all over the world, and get their view on the world. So for me, that was in, and I ended up meeting a Canadian, being one of my good friends, and he was in my wedding. He actually moved to Sacramento, got him a job. Got him a job, and he still actually lives there. So for me, that trip was very memorable. Not just one moment in that trip, but the whole thing. So there you go. So number 2, I have a vivid memory of a bar called Le Clan in Prague. So in Prague, if you guys have ever been there, the city never sleeps. There's always a bar open. So you can actually go out, every hour of the day, and there's something open. So anyways, I went out, and probably until like 2 o'clock. Typically we go home at 2 o'clock, but in Prague that doesn't happen. So I was hanging out with a bunch of expats, and they go, "Let's go to Le Clan." I go, "What's Le Clan?" Oh, you really need to check this place out. So I get there, and it's kind of a secret. It's a secret. Everybody knows it, but it's a secret, right? There's a doorman. He doesn't let everybody in. If you look at him wrong, or he sees that you did something, or you see him, you're not getting in. You're not getting in. So anyways, you get in. The locals, if you know somebody, it's free. If you don't, it's like 10 crowns, which at the time was like $3 or $4. So you go in, you walk in, you immediately go downstairs, okay? And there's a level there, and it's all bohemian. It's like red velvet. There's couches, there's sofas, there's chairs, there's tables. It just looks like like a gypsy owns it, and actually a lady from France owns it, so it's French owned. There's also a back room. You can go out. There's a stage, and then from what I hear, well, I know I've experienced a couple times. They'll open a door and it goes down even further, like another level. But what I liked about that place is you get people from all over the world. I'm a very social person, and so I went there. I talked to some guy from Ukraine. I would talk to some guy from Croatia. I would talk to someone from France, someone from Canada, someone from America, and someone from Austria, someone from Germany. I mean, it was amazing. You get all of and they're all like well-to-do, and so the conversations that you would get into were pretty amazing. And just to get their view on the world, which was completely different from American, completely different from a German or a Russian, whatever. So, and I ended up, moving there. Probably once a month I would go there. Everyone would go there around 4 in the morning, because they would leave wherever they're at. And if they didn't want to go home, they would go there. It's a brand new night, brand new club. There's a line getting in. Amazing. So, and a lot of the times people wouldn't leave until like 11, 12 in the morning, right? So you go out, and they open the door. Oh my God, all the sunshine. People are going to work, but that's very vivid in my brain. Okay, the number one travel memory or travel story is the time that I moved to Prague. I moved to Prague in December. Actually, it was like November of 2005. And I befriended one of the partners of a bar called M1. He was from San Francisco. I'm from San Francisco originally, so we have that in common. He told me he has a buddy that's coming into town. He's filming a movie. Would you like to hang out? I said, of course. He said, well, he's going to be hanging out with us all week. Yeah, no problem. I'm not working. It turns out that it was Liev Schreiber. Liev Schreiber was filming The Omen, and it was released in 2006. So I think when I was hanging out with him, it was a full week. It was beginning of January. Might have been part of December, but very cold. We hung out with him every day. And actually, Liev Schreiber is from San Francisco as well. So I think that's how they know each other. So there was a big group of guys, mostly from California, hanging out. So each night we would hang out at M1, or we'd go to some other pub and hang out. Very memorable. He's a super nice guy. I bought him beers, he bought me beers. My last vision of him, though, is the last night, that I hung out with him. We were at the M1, and there was these two Czech girls at the bar. We were both talking to them, flirting with them, getting somewhere with it. And it turns out, like, I was talking to one of the girls, and she was very interested. He was talking with the other girl, and that girl was actually playing footsies with me. No lie. I'm just telling you what happened. And eventually, we ended up going, they closed down the bar. I think it was like 4 in the morning. And we went outside in the square, and all 4 of us played, we were throwing snowballs at each other. So we did that for like a half an hour. And then Liev said, I gotta go film the movie tomorrow. I gotta get up at 10 o'clock, because it was like 4:30 at the time. And then, so he just it was foggy, snowing a little bit, and I just saw him walking in the distance, and that's the last I saw of him. And then I said goodbye to the Czech girls, and that was it. So that was a very memorable week for me. Had a good time. He's a really nice guy.